I want to tell you that you can manifest someone you haven't met before. Sometimes our minds want to make manifestation complicated or challenging to us. I was working with a mentor. My desire was to get married and meet the one that my heart wants. He instructed me to write down all my ideals in a person. Then I was instructed to read this list 3 times in the morning and 3 times before bed for 30 days. I did exactly what he told me. I wrote down all my preferences in looks, age, and value. She was into manifesting, she loves self-development, she has a heart of gold, she is so loving, she is submissive, we have the perfect chemistry, we feel that we are each other's soulmate, we both put an effort in our relationship, she is loyal and forgiving. I read this list 3 times every morning and evening, for a month. Exactly as the mentor told me. After 30 days, the mentor told me to throw away the list and know it will flow to me. A year later, when I wasn't looking for the one, I was focused on many other things. My wife came into my life. I had no idea she was the one at first, because I wasn't looking for love. There was no effort on my part. The bridge of incidents were beautiful and unexpected. One day while I was thinking about her, an image popped into my mind reminding me of my list. Thinking about her attributes, it matched my list. I knew this was in response to my intention and trust that it was done, and created the perfect outcome. Within 3 months of knowing her, I asked her to marry me. It was one of the best decisions of my life. If I manifested my SP back, then you can do it too. I will be sharing everything that I did every day to manifest my wife back in the 3D. From the moment I woke up till I went back to bed. I decided 3 things before I started my daily inner work. 1. I was going to leave the 3D alone completely. I would completely stop looking for outside proof or validation. I'd live from my inner world. 2. I was going to succeed, no matter how long it took. I wouldn't use excuses like I'm too old, I did too much, she said XYZ, they moved out of state, the relationship is too old, it only works for some people, she had free will, etc. Excuses kill the God in you. 3. Addressing the free will posts to save others time. Free will is an illusion and misunderstanding of the law. Neville's golden rule is Neville's. It doesn't mean it can't be done, it means he wouldn't aid anyone in it or manifest it. I have golden rules I won't help others with, nor will I manifest. Remember. It is law of assumption, not law of assumption, except for X. When he manifested himself out of the army, no one wanted him to leave, he visualized it and then they all played their part. I woke up at 8 a.m., and most days there were emotions of fear or sadness. I observe the emotions and release identification with the thoughts. Once the emotions pass, I close my eyes, and place myself in my bed at 10 p.m., reviewing my day. I saw the day going how I wanted it to. I woke up next to my wife, I saw events happening with my wife that I wanted and loved to experience. I used as much sense perception as possible until I felt I was there and was satisfied. I saw myself making money, having lovely interactions, and feeling as though I experienced the perfect day. At 9 a.m., I go to the gym. 10:30 a.m., once I got home, I asked myself, what would the feeling be like if I had the most amazing marriage? If I couldn't feel the feeling, I knew I needed to relax myself more. A good indicator you are ready is your body will be asleep, but who you are is intensely aware. When I did these affirmations, I would bring my attention to my heart area. The main reason behind this is, if I didn't direct my awareness inward, I noticed it would look outside for what I was affirming. My logical mind was looking for facts and outside proof. Bringing attention inward is key. When I focused inside and affirmed, it was very easy for me to accept it was true. The reality is, it has always been so. My reason, past 3D facts, were the only thing denying it. The practice removes that obstacle. I stayed in my inner world until I felt satisfied. This told me I prayed correctly. At noon I'd go for a walk, either at the hotel or the forest that was nearby. I'd pull out a piece of paper and write what my ideal relationship looked like. I wrote all the attributes I loved. I loved how she did XYZ. I love how I show my love by doing XYZ. What our marriage looked like. I wrote all this out and accepted it as true now in my inner world. At 3 p.m., working most of the time, I would be in my ideal state from my earlier techniques. I would monitor how I would feel. I noticed around 4 to 5 each day unconscious programming would come up. It always included sadness, fear, and worry. I would become aware the program was active. Remove the thoughts about it or the thoughts that would say why I was experiencing it. I observed the emotions until they disappeared. 7 p.m. I'd again ask myself, what would the feeling be like if I had the perfect wife? I do this until I felt satisfied. I did have the perfect wife. Before bed, I would script how my marriage is. I never referenced the night before, but often the scripting was the same every night I wrote it out. I did this until I felt satisfied. At bed, I would revise my day. Any events that were unideal, I revised. I didn't see my wife in the 3D, I revised that I did. Didn't receive a text, I revised that I did. Then I went to bed affirming, thank you that I have the perfect marriage, or thank you that I have the perfect wife. Most of the time this was my set schedule. There were times, especially near the end, where I knew it was done. I did these techniques less and less. I didn't force techniques, I did them when I felt the thirst again for an outside experience, or it felt good to do them. Things I did sometimes. I affirmed my wife is always dreaming about me, she confirmed she was. My wife is so obsessed with me, she also confirmed, she is loyal to me and only wants me, she confirmed, I'm her soulmate, she confirmed. I would also sometimes visualize. I visualized with my eyes open, I see things way more clearly. I just stare through an object to do it. I was always aware of automatic inner suggestions in me based upon 3D experiences. If they were unideal, I caught them immediately and changed it. I never went on social media. I never talked to people about manifesting except my friend, whom I taught the law. I told him I'd do it when the separation happened in the 3D originally. When I had emotions, I always encouraged myself to feel them. And I always affirmed this is all bridge of incidents for me. I allowed myself to feel whatever popped up, but didn't allow myself to ever break mentally. I always was inwardly talking or staying in the wish fulfilled. I cried a few times from frustration, stress, and missing her. I believed that too was needed. In the end, I succeeded, and I trust this will help you succeed too. I met my girlfriend in January of 2022, and we started dating in April 2022. Things worked out well for us, and we progressed at a rapid pace. We had some arguments here and there, but that's expected in any relationship, but in general, everything was working out well. The only thing that we had a bit of a distance was that she had a lot of issues at home with her family, so things were turbulent for her. In January 2023, I started going to a new university, so the distance between us had increased, and because of our schedules, we couldn't see each other much, but we stayed together and our love for each other was still very strong. In April 2023, things started to go south due to events happening at her home, and we ended up breaking up on good terms. Looking back and knowing what I know about the law, I probably manifested the breakup without realizing it, due to my thought processes and assumptions at the time. From May till about mid-August, I went into hermit mode. At first, I was on dating apps trying to look for other people, but having just come out of a serious relationship, I decided I'd rather just be by myself. I worked on myself a lot and also developed myself spiritually. It is worth noting that during this time I had a huge spiritual awakening where I realized the true power within me, that I am the Jesus that is talked about in scripture, and that my imagination is what creates my physical reality. I had known about Neville's teaching before this, but I still kind of didn't believe them, but this made me believe. In August I did shrooms with my friends, and during the trip, I reflected on my relationship with my ex, and decided that I want her back because we were really good for each other and I do love her. I figured that if Neville's teachings are true, then I might as well just manifest her back. At this time I still wasn't completely sure about the law. I had manifested things before, but I started to think, oh, maybe this was all just meant to happen. I figured that manifesting her back will prove to me once and for all that the law is real and that it works. My process for this was to lie down on my couch or in bed and relax, then start to repeat affirmations like I am in a loving, committed relationship with SP. Whenever I would face doubts, I would tell myself it is already done. Why are you thinking about how it's gonna happen or when it's gonna happen if it's already done? I'd also listen to Neville lectures on YouTube to remind myself of my power whenever I felt lack. I kid you not, literally 1 week after I started to manifest her back, on September 4th, she sent me a friend request. I was on the phone with my friend at the time and my jaw dropped and my heart started racing. I lied to my friend and told him I had to hang up because I had to help my parents with something. Me and her immediately started talking. She told me about how things had been going for her since we last spoke and about the stuff happening in her home life, and she explained to me that she made a mistake when she broke up with me. She was acting out of fear and she never meant to hurt me, and that she had never dated anybody such as me, that I had genuinely made a positive impact on her life. She said that she understood if I had moved on from her, but if I was open to it, she wanted to start seeing each other again and that we can start slowly as friends if I wanted. Now of course I wanted her back and I didn't want to start as friends. So we talked and caught up and the whole time I was screaming in my head, it works, oh my God it works. We got back together and things were going good between us, but I made a crucial mistake, my mental diet was terrible. Despite knowing that the law works and that I had gotten her back, I kept repeatedly thinking thoughts such as, okay, but what if something happens in the future and she is taken away from me? What if she leaves me in the future, etc. Having thoughts like this, here and there is fine and won't affect much, but continuously having these thoughts and going to sleep thinking these thoughts will start to affect your physical reality and they will start to manifest. On October 4th, we got into an argument and she stopped texting me, and my immediate first reaction was, oh my God, what if she doesn't text me for the entire week? Had this happened today, I would have gone to sleep revising this event, but that's not what I did. I went to sleep worrying about whether she will text me or not. The next day, a majority of my thoughts were something like, why hasn't she texted me? Why isn't she picking up my calls? And these thoughts continued to repeat the next day and then for the rest of the week. Watching the very thing I feared come true sent me further into a spiral, and I started to think, what if she wants to break up with me? I think she's gonna break up with me. No, don't think that, but look at what's happening right now. What do you think this is? So for 2 weeks, the majority of my thoughts day and night were like the ones I just explained, and as you know, an assumption though false, if persisted in will harden into fact, and harden into fact they did. At the end of the 2 weeks, I finally caught myself and realized what I had been doing, and I scolded myself and I immediately started to affirm that we are in a loving committed relationship. However, not long after I did that, she texted me and sent me a very long message talking about how she had still not fully healed from what was going on at home and she felt that she had rushed into things too fast and that she didn't feel like she could be a good partner to me and that it's best we break up. I reacted to this, but I decided to let myself feel whatever emotions were coming up while reminding myself in my head that this is all just a consequence of my assumptions from the past 2 weeks. And that if I started to assume the opposite now, then my 3D will reflect the assumptions because that's simply how the law works. However, I still had a lot of fear within me, so it took a bit and I continued to react to the 3D. We talked some more and it really seemed like she was going to break up with me, so I let myself spiral a bit. One thing I did during this time was twice a day for 15 minutes, I would lie down in bed, relax, and repeat my affirmations to myself. I had got this method from Joseph Murphy's book Power of Your Subconscious Mind, but it is more or less just sats. Finally, in the last week of October, my friend and I were going on a trip to visit one of my other friends. I kept telling myself that this weekend we will work things out, as well as my other affirmations. It really seemed hard to believe and we did kind of break up for a bit, but we were still talking. I made the mistake of telling 2 of my friends about this, because it made things kind of awkward when we did eventually get back together. The night before the trip, me and her were texting, and I was telling her how no matter what happens I really love her and will love her, And she says the same to me, and that no matter what happens she always wants to stay my friend because we were basically each other's best friends. But that night I went to sleep feeling good, feeling what it would feel like if we were together. I continued doing that during the trip and the next 2 weeks. During that time we started talking a lot more again until finally she told me that she really wants to be with me and that she loves me so much. And here we are now, we're still together and we are in fact still in a loving, committed relationship. Me and girlfriend broke up and then I got her back and then we almost broke up again, but then I got her back again.